Today, I want to talk about one of the biggest complaints I hear from internal audit leaders, and that is that most of the training and conferences are not actually designed for audit leaders. In fact, they find them to be usually very tactical, very low level, and don't actually meet some of the needs that leaders have on how to lead teams, how to be more strategic, and some of the things like that. So, what I want to do today is just talk about there are some different opportunities that are out there that you may or may not be aware of. So, I just want to make sure that you're aware of these opportunities if you are an internal audit leader. Now, first thing, what an internal audit leader is a manager, a director, a vice president, or a head of audit, chief audit executive running an internal audit department. So it could be any of those, right? So I guess ask yourself, are you a manager? Are you a director? Are you a VP? Are you a head of audit? If you are, then I'm talking to you using that term audit leader. Okay. Now, as I said, a lot of the training and conferences that are out there are usually not designed for internal audit leaders. So I'll give you a couple of examples, right? That I'm sure if you have gone to, let's say, a 3-day conference before, and a lot of the topics that are in the conference look interesting, so you sign up, you go, you listen to hour-long presentations, and in the 3 days, there's maybe 2 or 3 of the sessions that you actually found relevant to you. And in fact, it wasn't even the whole hour. Maybe there was only 5 or 10 minutes of each of the sessions that you found relevant. So that's a lot of your time invested for things that are usually much more tactical, much more general audit, and don't really talk about some of the soft skills, leadership skills, how to manage and lead a team, how to think strategically, how to deal with some of the political and culture issues that you have to deal with. So, as I said, most trainings and most conferences don't actually address those areas, but there are some opportunities for those exact topics, and that's what I want to share with you today. So, the first one I want to talk about is called the Audit Leader Summit, and so it is happening on September 25th of 2025. And so what it is it's 4 hours, a 4-hour session, really giving you specific topics that are relevant to audit leaders, and in a very short format, right? Because we know that you're all busy. And so, as a result, instead of having to sit through an hour-long presentation and maybe get, 5 or 10 minutes that were relevant, we're just going to give you the 5 or 10 minutes, but we're going to do that on many different topics. And so just to give you an idea of some of the different topics that will be discussed, ethics for internal audit leaders. So not just general ethics to get your 2 hours of CPE, but actually ethics that relate to the job of being an audit leader, right? Because there's certain situations and other things that you deal with that are probably different than most of your team has to deal with, right? Leadership tips and tricks, right? So, again, we're often taught how to audit. And so you're all great auditors, the tactical, how to audit, but often you're never given the opportunity to learn some of the leadership skills, some of the executive presence skills that are necessary to succeed. And so, in this, we'll give you some different information, some simple tricks, and things that most of the time people in internal audit never learn, but they're little things that will help you be much more effective. And so, as an example, one is called reversing your butts. And it's a way in which you can communicate and say things in a way that is really kind of 180 degrees different than what we normally would say it. But it allows people to receive the information that you're providing in a much better way. Another topic, getting value from a QAR. So, again, most internal audit shops have a QAR, but they treat it more like a checklist, and I did it. I did all my things, check, 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 check. But we're going to talk about how you can actually get value from it. So not treating it as a have to do, a compliance issue, you go and spend $50,000 or $100,000 getting a QAR, but how can you actually get real value from the QAR? Another topic, strategically leveraging co-sourcing. So again, many of you do co-sourcing, but are you actually thinking about it strategically and figuring out, over the course of the next few years, how you can actually leverage those co-sourcing results and co-sourcing arrangements strategically to help you in your organization. Another one, using advisory work to add value. So one of the biggest ways to get elevated to a kind of a trusted advisor status is to do more advisory work. And I know some internal audit groups are mainly stuck doing just assurance or compliance type related things like SOX training or SOX auditing. But there's certain ways that you can actually start incorporating some advisory work into what you're doing that will start to increase the value that people see internal audit is providing. Another topic, risk-based auditing, or using risk-based auditing to decide what to never audit. And this is one of those things where, again, a lot of people think they're doing risk-based auditing. But in this, we're actually going to show some of the ways to realize, there's certain parts of the organization that we should probably never audit. And so doing things like a cycle of, well, I'm going to hit all these areas every few years, and these I'm going to hit, maybe over every 2 years, and these every 5 years, or I'm going to pick some high, I'm going to pick some medium, I'm going to pick some low things to add to my audit plan each year. Instead, we're going to show you how, some of those things you probably never should actually audit, which will free up time for you to do things that are much more valuable. Another topic, hiring in a world dominated by AI. So again, a lot of people are using AI now to write their resumes. A lot of companies are using AI to screen candidates. And it's not working quite the way people think it should. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And finally, the double-edged sword of reporting and finding ratings. So, that's report writing or report ratings, and finding ratings are often something that people incorporate. But there's two sides to it, right? There's some benefits, but there's also some cons associated with that. So that's an example of a 4-hour training that's happening this next week, specific for audit leaders. And the topics are exactly related to what internal audit leaders are doing. So that's an opportunity. So if that's something that you want to take advantage of, there's a link in the description. The second one that I want to talk about is called the Audit Leader Forum. And so the Audit Leader Forum is actually a program that is ongoing. So you can join, become a member, get your subscription, and have resources over the course of the whole year. And as long as you stay a member, you continue to have these resources. And so again, similar, all of the content in this program is directly related to your job as an internal audit leader. And so, some of the things that provides, or things that you get as being a member of that, is monthly group calls. So every month you have an opportunity to get on a group call with other audit leaders from all over the world to have, to hear what other people are doing, to ask questions, to get feedback from others in the group as well, maybe on how you should proceed about certain things. And so that's an option, for you to be able to sit down, have a live, direct video conversation with people once a month. Now, that's over a $600 value just by itself. You also get quarterly private one-on-one consultations or coaching calls. And so once a month, you can actually get on a call with me individually, and we can talk about the things that are specific that you're dealing with. And so again, they can be things that are maybe a little confidential that you normally wouldn't bring up in a group, and you get an opportunity to have one of those once a quarter. And so again, that's a $1,200 value by itself. You earn 24 hours of CPE during the year, which again, that's a $1,200 value if you were to go out and go to a conference or other things to earn those 24 hours. Now, there's also updates, best practices, resources, and tools designed specifically for audit leaders, and that's about $1,000 value. So there's a whole bunch of recorded content that gives you certain best practices, tools, things like the leadership training that I talk about. That's another $500 value. That's more than just tips and tricks, but actually goes through and teaches you some high-level leadership concepts that people typically don't learn unless they're an executive in an organization. There's also networking, resources, education, which that's kind of priceless. I don't know how you put a number on that. But there's also other things like an extensive self-study library, CAE lessons from CAEs, recordings, so you can actually listen to people who have been chief audit executives, hear their advice, on what made them successful, maybe things they would do different in their career as well. And so, like I said, all of this is available in the Audit Leader Forum, and it's an opportunity, for you to be able to get that higher level training and coaching and information that you need to be successful as an audit leader. Now, I shared with you some of the value, items. In fact, there's almost $6,000 worth of value in this program annually. But guess what? It's only $3 a day. $3 a day for you to be able to be a member of the Audit Leader Forum. And so again, I'm just here sharing another opportunity because I know a lot of people are looking for things like this. And honestly, some programs that have similar things can be $50,000 to $60,000 a year to participate in. And I know that most people don't have budgets like that. And so again, for only $3 a day, you get access to all of this information. So again, if you're interested, there's a link, for you to be able to go check it out. And for the Audit Leader Forum, you also get a 7-day free trial. That's 7 days, right, where you get a free trial of it before you end up having to pay anything at all. So if either of those are of interest to you, and again, the one is time sensitive, the Audit Leader Summit is happening on September 25th. So if you'd like to get into that and participate live, get registered this week. Now, if you don't, or if the calendar, if you have a conflict on your calendar, it's okay. Because we're doing it on C-Risk Academy, that means you get access to the recording when it's available a day or two after the event, and you still get to earn the CPE hours, right? Even if you're watching it afterwards on your own. So again, two different great opportunities: the Audit Leader Summit and the Audit Leader Forum. If either of those resonated with you, there's links where you can learn more or reach out to me directly, and I can answer any questions you have. So with that, I'm going to wrap up for the day. Have a great week, and I'll see you on the next video.